YouTube listeners and watchers. Wave hi to the folks.
Yeah, and Matt, it is on YouTube if your mom wants to watch it, but she won't see you, of course.
All right.
All right, you ready, Tish?
Yep.
Go.
Go.
Okay, welcome in, everybody, this big Saturday morning. Wow, football season is finally here. And, of course, for me, that's the beginning of the University of Maryland Terrapin season. And a big game down at M&T Bank today, Navy and Ohio State. But the one that I care about is the beginning of Maryland and the Big Ten. And for that, we bring in the big hitter, the new writer, the beat writer for the University of Maryland football team from the Sun Papers. And, wow, a guy we've been associated with for years. I've seen him grow up in the business, and now he has one of the top sports writing jobs in the state, and that's my friend Matt Senitz. Matt, welcome in this morning.
Guys, how you doing?
Matt, you got to be loving it at College Park. I know you are just flooding the Sun Papers and certainly online with tons of great articles about the Maryland football team, some of the best coverage we've seen in a long time.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I know you're biased, though.
I'm definitely biased, but you're replacing a great guy in Jeff Barker, who I was a good friend of, and it's a high standard to live up to. As Jeff moved on to the political scene, I saw he covered the opening of the Horseshoe. Have you been there yet, Matt?
I have not. I've been to Maryland Live, not recently, but to play poker there. I know we've talked about poker before, but I've not had a chance to go down to Horseshoe as of yet. Anytime you want to treat.
All right.
Anytime you want to treat, I'll be happy to go down, but I've not had a chance as of yet.
We'll get down. Go ahead, Wayne.
Even the guys in Washington, read the Sun coverage of the Terps, because I think you guys do just a great job. So being a D.C. guy most of my life, we look to you to give another opinion on what's going on in College Park.
Yeah, I'm happy with Roman Brooks, too, from the Washington Post. I think he's an excellent, knowledgeable guy, and two new guys on the beat. So, Matt, I really respect your opinion a lot about football. You've told me things over the years. You're always an expert on the draft. Your first impressions now that you're really covering Maryland, it's impossible to predict how they're going to do, but give me a general feeling of what we're going to see from the University of Maryland this year.
I think they're a good, solid team that's going to be competitive. They have an extremely difficult schedule, as you guys already know. The second half of the season will be very much interesting with Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Penn State, and Michigan, and that whole just gamut of teams the second half of the year. But this is an impressive team. They have pieces offensively. They have talent at the skill positions offensively. They have talent on defense, especially in that front seven. And Sean Davis has been impressive throughout the course of the summer at safety as well. So, to me, just looking at them, they're a team with talent. I'm not sure what the expectations are from everyone around the country. I've seen a whole bunch of different things from media people and all of that, but this is a team that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if you see them 7-5, 8-4, maybe pushing for something even better than that, even despite the schedule that they do face.
Now you've seen the receivers with Tavon Jacobs and Deion Long and Stephon Diggs and Laverne Jacobs. How would you rate this receiving corps? One of the best in the country? Is that too strong?
I don't know about best in the country just because I haven't had a chance to see the other teams around the country, so it would probably be unfair to throw that out there. But it's a very talented receiving corps that you have Deion Long, who's been extremely impressive to me, probably even more impressive than Stephon during the course of the summer. Laverne Jacobs has been a surprise to me also just because you hear about Stephon, you hear about Deion, you hear about the talent that those two guys have. But Laverne, I don't know if you can put him exactly at the same level, but he's up close. Laverne looks like a receiver that at some point during the course of the next couple of years will get an opportunity to prove himself at the NFL level and will have an opportunity to make a team. He's looked that good during the course of the summer to me, and I know he had an opportunity last year when both of them got hurt to go in and prove himself and make some plays, and he did that. He had 47 catches last year, and like I said, was consistent, productive, and made plays throughout the course of the summer. And then you have Tavon Jacobs as well, probably the fastest person on the team. They'll look to incorporate him some, whether it's a receiver, a kick returner, and I'm sure they'll try to come up with some creative ways as well. And then you have Marcus Lee, that they'll throw into the mix. You have Shaquille Bay as the backup and slot receiver, and then even Amba Editawa made some plays last year and showed the capability to get behind the defense during the course of the summer. So you have the two top guys. You have LeBron that will get time as well, but just all in all, this is a deep, talented receiving core that I think it's safe to say. Like I said, I don't know if you can necessarily say one of the best in the country, but just looking at the teams around the Big Ten, I think this may be the deepest and most talented receiving core in the conference. And that's saying a lot.
I saw in the scrimmage game a couple Saturdays ago that Shaquille Bay was on the field a lot, and when you put him out there with his blazing speed, along with Stephon and Tavon, do you think he can get all those speed guys out there at one time?
Well, I think Shaquille's going to end up being more of a special teams player this year, contributing more, maybe like the keep coverage teams. I mean, he flashed some ability when he first switched to slot receiver, but he's admittedly still wrong. Switching to receiver has been primarily a running back, even dating back to high school. He played some receiver in high school, but really wasn't asked to run that complex of routes. At that point, he was mostly just running go routes and corner routes. So it's been a transition for him, a natural acclimation period that comes along with switching to that position. So I think he's going to be more of a backup guy to Laverne Jacobs in the slot, and I think we'll potentially get some time, but it'll be more than a backup type role. The main guys that I would look for at that position, obviously Stephon, Dion on the outside, Laverne in the slot. I think Tavon Jacobs will see time on the outside as well. And then Marcus Leak, I know he missed a scrimmage. He was in a walking booth, the most recent scrimmage that was open to the media, so we'll see if he's out there Saturday, whether it's Marcus or Umba. I think you'll see those two guys, or at least one of those two guys as well.
Matt, you have a real way of asking questions that get to the point and delve in. How have you been impressed with Randy Edsall, and what are your first impressions of him now that you're really covering him on a day-to-day basis?
I like Randy, and I respect how he's built this program. It's obviously difficult any time that you take something over and try to instill your way of doing things after, I guess, the carryovers from the previous regime are still there and are used to doing things a certain way. So there's been a natural process in terms of Randy getting things to where he's wanted to with this program. But I think you've seen a steady growth from year to year, from 2011, 2012 to last year, and now to the point they are now, where Randy feels like they have the deepest, most talented, most experienced team that they've had since he's been there, or since he got there in 2011. So he feels like they're in a good position. Players, other coaches feel the same way, and now it's just a matter of going out and producing on the field. And they get their first opportunity on, I guess, later today.
Take us through the defense a little bit. You talked about the defensive line being deep, and I think is the strength of the defense, in your opinion, the linebacking core?
I would just say the front seven as a whole. The cornerback group, probably the biggest question mark. Well, likely a good player, made some plays last year, made some plays during preseason camp. But anytime you have a corner that's 5'7", there's going to be question marks that come along with that guy. Was exploited some during the course of preseason camp. There were some big plays made on him. Some big plays made on Jeremiah Johnson as well, even though he had interceptions that were returned for touchdowns in each of the Terps' final two scrimmages. Alvin Hill was really the one that surprised me out of the secondary. I really didn't know that much about Alvin when I took over the beat. I know he stepped into the nickelback role last year after some of the injuries in the secondary, and to coaches, to players, he played well, but he was really impressive during the course of preseason camp, and obviously going to be somebody that you rely on now. But I think it's safe to say that as far as the defense, the cornerback group probably the biggest question mark. But I mean, that front seven is strong. You have 6 of 7 starters back from last season. You have 3 potential NFL players along the defensive line with Darius Gilgo and nose tackle Andre Monroe. Probably it's Aaron Donald at defensive end, and Quentin Jefferson I like too, who had 4.5 sacks last year. And then at linebacker, you lose Marcus Whitfield. You lose those 9 sacks from last year, but they're really optimistic, enthusiastic about Yannick Cujo-Virgil. Then behind him, Yannick Ngakoue has been one of the guys who was most impressive to me during the course of the summer. Was consistently disruptive, showed a lot of ability as a pass rusher, and will have a chance to contribute as a situational pass rusher during the course of the season. And then they like the highly touted freshman Jesse Anabon too, and what he can provide as a pass rusher.
I've seen a lot of speed coming off the edge. Savon Walker's another one. Matt Robinson blitzing. There's been more speed in that area, and then you had Annabonham to that, which I guess is one of those guys that Etzel wants to redshirt. I think he made a good comment where he said that he thinks every freshman should redshirt. But do you think that kind of speed could beat those big offensive linemen out of the Big Ten?
Well, that's what they're hoping for.
They do in the bowl games, I'll tell you that.
And with Annabonham, the plan is not for him to redshirt. He's one of those freshmen that they're expecting to play a role this year. He's not on the two deep right now, but there's going to be some packages in passing situations with him as a situational pass rusher where he's going to get a chance to get on the field. He's the fastest, most athletic of the linebackers, and Randy singled him out for his work, especially as a pass rusher during the course of their final scrimmage. So Jesse right now, while they're hoping to redshirt Damian Prince and some of the other freshmen, Jesse is somebody who's going to get an opportunity this year, and might even see him as soon as the game against James Madison.
Matt, talking about what I was saying before about the Big Ten, known for the offensive size of the linemen, the defensive linemen. Are Maryland lines going to be able to stand up, especially the offensive line? Will they be able to stand up to the strength of the Big Ten?
Yeah, I was going to say the offensive line is more of a question mark than the defensive line to me, although Randy feels like with the progress that they've made under Coach Stud, that, this offensive line has a chance to maybe surprise some people. That the offensive line has made significant, noted progress since the end of last season, and Michael Dunn in particular has really flourished under Coach Stud. That Ryan Doyle has come along since the spring. Andrew Zeller's an experienced guy, so is Sal Conavoy, and we'll see what happens with Shalvano at left guard. But while this may be the period of optimism, this is when you hear all coaches, all players optimistic and confident about any potential weaknesses or anything like that. They do feel confident and optimistic about that offensive line. They feel good about the progress it's made. They feel good going into the year.
Look, you followed Randy Etzel, even though you weren't covered like you are now. Again, we're talking to Matt Zenitz of the Baltimore Sun, the beat writer for the University of Maryland football squad. You saw the problems Randy had when he first came. I think you were the first person really to make light of it to me. When I say light of it, not fun of it, but to inform me that there were some unhappy campers, as they say. But it seems to me like now it's Randy's program, and these guys have really bought into him as their mentor, their coach, both on and off the field.
It seems like they have. It's Randy's program now. Before there were, once again, all those carryovers from Ralph's regime. They were loyal to Ralph and were used to doing things Ralph's way. And once again, there's a natural acclimation period that comes along with taking over a program like that. And Randy's gotten the program to the point now where he has his guys, and he's gotten those guys to the point where he feels like they can be competitive even with the schedule that they face.
Talk about Loxley's offense. They come out, of course, you have Brandon Ross, Wes Brown, Albert Reed. You've got three pretty good running backs there. Is this going to be a pass-happy offense, or is it still going to be trying to establish the run, or is this receiving core so strong, and is the quarterback up to it?
I think you have receivers that you want to get the ball, and I think at the same time you have running backs that you want to get the ball. So Maryland has a good problem from that perspective. I think that obviously you'll see them trying to take advantage of the talent that they have the wide receiver, but Brandon Ross has shown enough during the course of the last couple of years and also during the summer that he's going to get carries, he's going to get opportunities. And Albert Reed, they talk about his toughness and just how hard-nosed he is and how competitive and consistent and all those things. And he's going to get some opportunities as well. And then Wes Brown has just progressively come along since the spring. And Wes is probably the most physically gifted, most naturally gifted of the running backs, a big, powerful, violent runner that is also a good athlete too. And I'm sure that with him now cutting down on some of the mental errors that were there during the spring and during the early part of preseason practice, that he's going to get some opportunities as well, and that they're going to look to incorporate that skill set into the offense.
Let's wrap it up. Tell us how the game goes today, Matt. What do you see? Nobody knows much about James Madison, but it seems like you got some decent transfers, but they're still transfers.
Yeah, JMU is not some slouch team by any means, and it's not like I've ever seen this team play before. Just looking at them on paper, they have a quarterback who was a starter at Georgia Tech. They have a receiver who was a starter at North Carolina. They have a running back transfer from Tennessee. both of their tackles are transfer guys from the FBS level. They have transfers on defense as well, including Titus Hill, who was a four-star guy when he signed with Maryland, has been a starter for them each of the last 3 years. Jeremiah Wilson, you guys are familiar with, has played safety for them, will be a starting corner going into the game, and they have some talent. So we'll see what that translates into come game time, but if Maryland does go out and blow out James Madison, that's more impressive than maybe people that aren't familiar with some of the talent that James Madison has would necessarily realize, just considering they are a D1AA team.
All right, last question for you. Can C.J. Brown throw the deep ball?
We'll find out. C.J. was inconsistent during the course of preseason camp. C.J.'s known more as a runner and better as a runner than he is as a passer, but they're going to need him to be more consistent than he was during the course of preseason practice. He had some good moments, had some good practices, but also had some practices that I'm sure they weren't necessarily happy with.
Are you okay with the backup, Caleb Rowe?
Caleb had some good moments as well. Caleb had some bad moments as well. Caleb has a great arm, probably better as a pocket passer, but makes some decisions and has some things that he does that frustrates the coaching staff. So CJ is the guy. CJ will have the opportunity, and CJ will benefit from the fact that he can now run, and the play won't be stopped at first contact like it is during the course of preseason camp. But CJ's goal going into this year is to be more consistent, more effective as a passer, especially in the deep passing game, and gets his first opportunity against JMU.
I got to tell you, Matt, I love hearing you talking about Maryland, and I think it's so great for you. Know how I feel about the university to have you in Baltimore writing for the Sun about Maryland, because you tell it like it is, and I've always respected your knowledge, and now we get to see that showcase about the University of Maryland. So I'm excited, and I will see you today at the game, and I look forward to it.
Sounds good, guys.
All right. Thanks, Matt. All right. Well, what did I tell you about Matt Zenitz? Is he knowledgeable or what?
He is. He's bringing it strong to the mic today.
He does bring it strong, and he tells it like it is, right on the money. And the fact that he's positive means a lot to me, because if something was glaring there, he'd be the first guy to admit it, and he's not going to change. Right. He's a straight shooter, an extremely knowledgeable guy, and someone I like a lot.
So when does In the Nest make its season debut?
In the Nest makes its debut next Sunday, September the 7th, at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. with Donald Science. And if you're so kind to come in the video, do you have Redskins at home that day, or are they on the road?
We're Redskins at the Texans, and they have the Jaguars at home.
Okay.
And then at the Eagles.
So if you want to come in, you're always welcome. You know that.
Sure.
But,
so, God, you've known, what's this, your 51st year with Donald?
I know him forever. And while we're talking about that, when you select a professional, you always look to the backgrounds of the persons involved, particularly involving their experience, competence, and established performance. In Maryland, there's only one number one leader with regard to personal injury claims, and that's the firm of Science & Kirk. Science & Kirk have handled more auto accident cases than any law firm in the history of the state. Donald and his three sons make a formidable team representing their clients. Call their hotline 24/7 at 1-800-LAWYERS for assistance. This is Bruce Posner, Wayne Viner to my right. We're on YouTube. We're live. We're not live. We're on tape. All right, just for the record.
It's Memorex.
Right. It seems like we're live, and we'll be back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300. So when you were Let's see here. Let me go back to my email.
So out there in the
Dennis?
YouTube verse, as we get ready to come back from commercial, this Saturday, and as Bruce would say, although he's looking up our ad copy, this Saturday and every Saturday on 1300 CBS Sports Radio. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you get a chance, hit us on Twitter, which is Terp Talk Radio on Twitter. And hopefully you'll end up following the Wayne Terp channel here, because we are going to be looking to do some post-game for the football games and certainly after the basketball games. So you're going to get more of the Bruce Posner Show live from College Park coming up as the Terps start to play. And I even think we might even cover a soccer game or two, because those fans, as we've said on the air, just the best fans that Maryland has. So coming up soon as we come out of the break, we'll have Freddie from Boca on. And what do you think we're going to be talking about, Tish?
I don't know.
Orioles.
It's gonna be
Orioles.
Orioles.
So
Okay.
how
I
can
was going to say Maryland.
how can an Ohio State girl not be going to the game today? Why don't you just wave to the camera there?
I have to work.
Have to work.
That's
We
why.
need- we
Are
need
you going to go to the Maryland game when they come?
No, I have to work all. Remember, I do those broadcasts with Marquito,
Well, that's right.
so I can't
Oh,
go to
so
any of them.
you are the inside person with Tom
Oh yeah,
Marquito.
I run the. I do all of that.
You know,
stuff
I
with
didn't.
them.
I did not know that,
All right,
as
let's go.
Johnny Carson would have said. All right.
All right, guys.
Freddie there?
Yeah.
Can you hear him?
Okay. This
What,
will be
one hit for the Orioles again?
this.
Far, yeah, one hit a home run.
Unbelievable.
Okay, we're gonna go back live on CBS Sports Radio here in a second.
Oh, you say when?
When?
All right, we're back here in segment 2 of Koons Ford Presents a Sports Maven. When it comes to cutting the grass, plowing the snow, removing a tree, or anything landscaping, my family always uses Gene Williams of EJW Landscaping. Gene is reliable, his pricing is reasonable, and most of all, Gene really cares about your situation. Call Gene of EJW at 443-570-9042 and let EJW Landscaping take care of all your lawn needs. That's Gene Williams at EJW Landscaping, 443-570-9042. Right now we are taping for Saturday morning, and I was just talking to Freddie off the air, and the Orioles are losing to Mr. Smiley 3-1, one hit again, and I see the Yankees are running away from Detroit tonight. Was that against Price?
Price got rocked and rolled tonight.
Holy cow!
Well,
Adam's every good pitcher.
Yeah, but I already had that one in the loss column for the Yankees. I guess not.
I'm still on the off-the-air stuff. I'm still miffed that ESPN keeps pushing the Yankees in the playoffs, and can the playoffs go on without the Yankees? If this continues, the Mariners and the Tigers are going to be in front of the Yankees for that second.
That was a
wild card spot.
sickening article. Could the playoffs go without the Yankees? As if baseball is going to suffer because the Yankees aren't in it. I mean, come on. Who's the Yankee guys you're in love with? Where's the superstar this year?
The guy they have that everybody knows is the pitcher who's hurt. Hasn't.
Well, Jeter, but Jeter's about
It's
done.
over.
Superstar this year is Girardi.
Yeah, it is. Girardi, listen, there's no doubt about that. Girardi's been incredible, but
So what do you really think the magic formula is with Buck? Why is Buck so successful?
Freddie, I'll let you answer that.
I think Buck has realized that he's very patient with players now. He's become a real manager. I mean, players that really like to play for him, and they've done a real good job of bringing in the right kind of personality to the team.
I agree. I also think he's handled the pitchers great. Getting Andrew Miller, we'll give Dan Duquette credit for that, and the combination of those three guys make it so that when you have a lead after 6, you're just not going to lose many games. I don't think. Have they lost one since that happened, Freddie?
I'm sure they have.
I'm not sure. I don't know that.
Well, what's his name? Long 3 stays.
No, I mean since we got Andrew Miller.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we did.
somebody came in and gave up a home run. They hadn't given up a home run in Lord knows how
Might have
long.
been Darren O'Day. I'm not sure, but
It might have been, but so your notes. A surprise Oriole of the year at this point. It's got to be Caleb Joseph to me.
yeah.
On the positive side, and then on the negative side.
Well, Chris Davis without question. But listen,
Yeah, but Davis still probably hit 30 home runs. I mean, his average is
pathetic, but he's played excellent defense. He'll hit 30 home runs and probably knock on 80 runs. I mean, could be a lot worse.
What about that play he made last night? I mean,
Adam Jones?
no. Chris
Very
Davis.
messed up play. He checked the runner, fired the first, where most guys just lob it across for the easy out. It was a great play by Pearson, and then just, I mean,
How about Davis's barehanded pickup to throw out the guy at home to Joseph?
he's a great, but he's a really good baseball player. He's the guy that plays first, he's played third, he's pitched, he's played outfield. He's a baseball player.
Yeah, he is. He is that. And if he ever, fixes whatever problems he's having now, a home run tonight. What's that? 22 or 23?
22.
Yeah, 22. So in the end of the day, it's not done now. Again, this show's being taped, so we're not going to know what's going to happen by Saturday. But it looks like the Yankees could pick up a game again. The Orioles are still up by 6. But most Yankee fans say they're only concerned about the wild card because they don't feel they can catch the Orioles, which I don't think they can.
I don't either. But before we get off of the great plays, is that Adam Jones' pinnacle moment of the career? Was that catch in the throwout? Is that a Hall of Fame highlight?
Catches and plays with them, and the combination of the leaping catch and firing to second base, that was pretty good.
I thought the throw was incredible. But then again, last night his throw home to Caleb Joseph and the play Caleb Joseph made was incredible. But Freddie, I was at that game last night, and I came up with one conclusion that I hadn't had until I was at the game last night, and that is I really love J.J. Hardy, and I'd hate to see him go. I don't know how they can keep him. But this guy, he's batting .282, doesn't have a lot of home runs, but if you look at him, the amount of contact, the solid contact that he makes is incredible almost every time he's up at the plate.
Well, the home run down, he had a bad back and hamstring problem earlier this year, which made him a better hitter in many ways. But now he goes to right field quite a bit. He did a home run the other night to right field. But solid defensively, it makes every play out there. The question is, he's a free agent. He's 32 years old. I think he'll probably be able to command a 4-year contract from somebody. They'll give him $50-60 million for 4 years. Do you want to make that kind of investment on a player who's 32 now, where normally this time, the age, the players start going backwards?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if Machado didn't have the 2 knee problems, you can make a case that maybe next year, if you didn't want to sign Hardy, Machado's the shortstop. Now I'm wondering if the Orioles have to work something out to keep Hardy and put Manny at third and hope that he fully recovers. What do you think the recovery time is for the operation that Manny had earlier this week?
Everything I've read is the same as last year, and so he won't really be able to condition himself during the winter, but he should be able to start spring training on time and be ready for the start of the season. And the injury that he had, it's the same problem in the right knee, which he had in the left knee, which is probably something he's had for a long, long time. It's not like it's a new injury that popped up when he slipped.
But like you said, like we talked about a week ago, 2 years, 2 major injuries, it's not a great sign. And to me, does that make Hardy more valuable? Because now you're not sure about Manny. I mean, you're not positive. And does the explosion, the great play of Caleb Joseph, say maybe the guy out is going to be Matt Wieters?
Well, right now there's no indication that Wieters is going to re-sign anyway.
Right. Well, you can.
Well, we talked earlier. Re-sign as a what? Can you bring him back as a catcher? Does he play first base? You're going to have Davis. Well, Davis batting 190 with his 30 home runs. How much is he worth? Somebody here has to go. I don't think you keep everybody.
No, you don't.
But both Wieters and Davis are free agents after next year, and with Boris as their agent, it's unlikely they're going to be able to negotiate and re-sign either one. Both will probably test the waters and see what happens. With Davis, 30 home runs this year, and he gets the batting average back up to respectable next year. It's another 30 home runs. He's a big chip for anybody because power's the premium.
Yeah, 30 home runs and 90 RBIs, which is he could wind up with this year. The batting average doesn't help, but
you can't discount his defense, the guy. He's terrific defensively.
No, you're preaching to the choir, and that leaves Nick Markakis. Where do you go with Markakis? He's got an $18 million option next year.
My gut feeling is they'll probably negotiate a 3-year or 4-year extension with Nick. I don't know, $12 million a year or something to keep him around. Solid player, not great, but terrific defensively. Done very well at leadoff, and he comes to work every day and plays hard, and he's well liked, and I think he'll be an Oriole for life.
I think a lot of what's going to happen after this year is how they do in this final month of the season. I think that should they carry on, win maybe a playoff series or two, get to the World Series, there'll be a clamoring to I think there'll be a clamoring within the organization to try and keep, not everybody because you can't, but to keep somebody. But I think that J.J. Hardy has kind of, in my opinion, regained some higher stock value, even though he is 32 years old, because of the injury to Manny.
Well, again, if he gets a 4-year contract, your thinking has to be possibly moving him to third base later in his career. But then the question is, well, you don't know about Manny.
No, you don't, and I'm worried. Freddie, the two injuries like that. I mean, when that knee's fixed, is the knee good forever? There's always knee problems.
Well,
I don't think
that happened to me.
you have to guarantee, no matter who you are, it's good forever, this or that,
So look at the three bigs from last year that said these guys are going to Mount Rushmore baseball. You got Bryce Harper, who had a pretty poor season, a lot of injuries again. The jury's certainly out on Bryce Harper. Trout, who ends up being the center fielder for the Angels and looks like he is going to stay on Mount Rushmore. And Manny's ended up going under the knife twice since he's been anointed to the greatest three. So you just really can't count on anything.
No,
and then you have Strasburg, who goes with the next Bob Gibson, who knows.
Right.
And at best, right now, he's a good pitcher, but he's a 500 pitcher.
Yeah,
What's really amazing is how well these two teams are doing. You've got the Orioles without leaders, with Davis hitting 190, all right, and you've got the Nationals with Bryce Harper, mediocre at best, at best. Strasburg pitching well, but not doing the numbers, and yet here are two teams at the top of the baseball world, virtually. Great organizations, good managers, great managers in the case of the Orioles, and heading for a possible showdown, which would be fantastic for the area.
With Harper and Strasburg, I mean, neither one's ever had really a great year, and then where like Davis has had a very, very good year and an unbelievable year, and Manny, I think overall he's outplayed Harper quite a bit.
Yeah, well, Manny to me, before his injury last year, there was nobody in baseball I would have traded for him. Nobody. Now, it's another story. I mean, we just don't know how he's going to recover. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's. I feel sorry for him because of the.
My gut feeling is he'll be fine because the knee that was operated on last year gave him no problem this year. And what I've read, the injury and the new injury is the same problem that existed in the other knee. So it's again something he's probably had for a long time, and it just manifested itself as he fell.
By the way, that game Tuesday night, I know you watched it, and I certainly was there. Jonathan Scope made two defensive plays that kind of got looked past. Well, number one was his catch of that line drive up the middle, which was the only real out in that inning. And then that looper that got over his head that he caught barehanded and threw to second to get a force out. Those were two great plays, Freddie. And
the first play, I would credit more the positioning and the scouting, but he didn't go far for that ball. But the second play was outstanding. He got a lucky bounce that came up to him, but to have the wherewithal to turn completely and fire to get the guy on the force out was excellent. Last night's game was almost as long as the 100-Year War. I think the 100-Year War was about 20 minutes.
I'm going to tell you something, Freddie. I was there, and it was 90 degrees, and I'm sitting low. And after 6 innings, I was drenched. I couldn't take it anymore. It was just unbearable. It was almost 3 hours after 6 innings, and it was.
Not as bad as the Miami Raven game last year, was it?
No. That was. I tell you what, that was the hottest game in the history of life. All right. Freddie says, I don't think I'm going to go today, Bruce. It's supposed to be hot. I said, you're nuts. Come on and go to the game. Fred. Yeah, no doubt. All right, we're out of time. We got to head to break. Freddie, thanks a lot for checking in, my friend.
James Madison, whatever
All right. James, what are they?
The Dukes.
The Dukes of James Madison. All right. No one ever asked to be injured. When this situation is thrust upon you or a member of your family, you have a right and duty to protect yourself and your family from financial harm. Science and Kirk will provide immediate assistance in getting medical care, securing lost wages, and advising on property damage and claim analysis. I've known Donald for over 50 years. Call 1-800-LAWYERS 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you wish to discuss your problem with an attorney, there's no one better to represent you than my buddy Donald Science. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Koons Ford Presents a Sports Maven. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
God, for recordings.
All
So
right.
your last one will be 9 to 10.
All right.
Since we only went a minute over. The first one was spot on.
You can talk about the Ravens, which is like, around here it's Ravens talk. There's nothing else. So a little Orioles talk.
Too much.
All right.
Overkill.
Oh, God. How
And I
about
do the highlights and I do the audio.
how about the subjects never change? Flacco this, Flacco that.
And that's how they feel down there. They're like, I am so tired.
Landscaping.
It's like you mention his name and the floodgates open.
GW Landscaping.
One person calls in and it'll happen.
EJW Landscaping. Do you have 1 minute for me to cut a couple commercials when we're done?
Yeah.
Great play by
I don't leave until this is done.
Steering with Boris
That
as
was
a
pretty good,
we
that
test
fight.
the water.
It was
see
good
what happens.
because you were
Well, David,
talking a subject he knows.
30 home runs
I was waiting for you guys. I was like, what? Like, trying to cut
this
me
after
down.
next year, and with Boris as their 8, both will probably test the waters and see what happens. And with Davis, 30 very well at leadoff.
All right.
1-800-LAWYERS. 24 hours a day claim analysis. 24 hours a day. 4 hours a day.
Not bad.
I listened to a replay
Yeah.
and I said, wait a minute, that's not me.
Ah.
She cut out everything I did. Call
Well,
1-800.
some of it, it's like, and it's from draft. Like some of the pops and stuff, we do that with everybody. If I notice it
Right.
took you a little longer, I'll go through
You
and
have
take it
to
out.
be possibly.
Just so it runs smoother. And then remember last time we went longer, so I had to go through and really start pulling stuff out.
to get the guy on the force that was excellent. The last we
Fred?
piped off 8 o'clock the morning before, and
The game.
we
Fred?
piped off 8.
Let's go to the game.
Piped off 8
Go to the game.
o'clock the morning before, and we were
With the
drenched
pop?
by 9.
Yeah. They're gonna get in there.
Don't worry about it.
8 o'clock the morning before, and we were drenched
sound
by
a little
9
less than what it
o'clock
was.
today. And knock off for the tough James Madison today.
Just a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 15. CBS Sports Radio 1300. Radio 1300. Will be.
That is 1353. Almost done, Bruce.
How do these people do 4 hours a day?
I always think that.
How about Fran?
Oh.
What does she do? 6
Oh my
to
God,
11?
yeah. It might be 7 to 11 now.
What does she talk about all that time?
She gets a lot of callers who dedicate songs
To their boyfriends and girlfriends?
their husbands, or their exes who have left them.
Can you imagine doing 3 hours
good.
a day?
She does a lot
I
of
was
smoke
just
breaks.
thinking
though.
about that.
She does a lot of smoke breaks.
It's exhausting, but that's all we did. It'd be different.
Right.
I mean, I'm coming from work. I went to work at 7.
Yeah, I get up. I told you I got up at 3:30 to be ready. I got to do it again tonight, tomorrow. I think somebody wrote the proposal for me. I just haven't seen it yet.
All right.
All right, guys. So we got same as last time. 10-minute finish up segment.
So we're going 9 minutes?
Bruce, do you remember who I sent your commercials to?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Who
Well,
you-
remember who I had sent them to last time after you cut them?
Kim Brooks?
Kim. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
So we're going to do this segment.
I could ask
9
you
minutes.
tomorrow.
The thing, like, where are we headed with this? The Ravens and Laquan, the Cups.
Ravens, right down the line here. because I can't really talk about the Ravens. I'm just going to say the cuts will be made later on because we didn't. I'm going to say we taped this before the New Orleans game.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to, of course, you bring up Laquan. Is Furstenberg gone?
Yeah, I think he's been gone. I really don't know. I haven't seen him play, so.
Oh, shit, I left my coffee back there.
No, but let me tell you something about being on the practice squad. It's almost not even worth doing when you're a player.
Coffee cup I left back. You know what? I'll get it after. We'll just go.
Sure.
It's just going to be 9 minutes.
9 minutes. If I happen to pass out, get the coffee and pour it on me. I'll be fine.
I might use someone's ice in their cup. Yeah. All right, guys.
Are you ready? 9 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Win.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, back for the third and final segment this opening day of Maryland football. And, of course, we would be remiss not to mention Navy and Ohio State down M&T Bank. That game's at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. We got a lot of people probably heading out that way. I get my shout out to Jim and Bucky and his 34 relatives who came down from Ohio to watch the Buckeyes. But I'm rooting for Navy in that one.
Aren't we all? Ravens make their final cuts today. Again, we taped this on Wednesday night, so we obviously can't talk about the New Orleans games. But one thing I can tell you, we should have come out of the game healthy because nobody's going to play.
Yeah, this fourth preseason.
It is ridiculous. It is the absolute biggest ripoff in sports, the fourth preseason game. And what I do like is Sean Gilbert, all right, has plans, is politicking to unseat, is it DeMaurice Smith?
Yeah, DeMaurice Smith.
Right. And he is in favor of the 18-game schedule and a $1 million minimum for each player, which I think is going to win him a lot of favor.
Well, I remember when Gilbert came over to the Redskins, I think it was 1994, they got him from the Rams, and he was a big deal free agent. He actually played pretty well for the Redskins and then decided he didn't want to play football.
He's the uncle of Darrelle Revis, believe it or not. But Sean Gilbert, I don't know about the 18-game schedule. I am of the opinion that might be too many. But if you take off 2 exhibition games and you add 1 rivalry game, which is what I've always been talking about, Ravens or Redskins is a game that should be played every year.
Every year. I think there should be more players active on the roster. I think there's 50 players.
You add 3 or 4 players, you'll make up the lost exhibition game with more revenue from TV, and eventually they're going to add 2 more playoff teams, so you'll make it up there. And, well, they're going to do it.
It's going to end up being like the NHL where half the teams make the playoffs.
Well, what's the difference?
And it probably really isn't any.
What is the difference? I mean, the best team always wins at the end. The team that's playing the best at the end of the season.
And that's one of the things with football that I think has changed, because when it was 14 games, if you were really good, you're probably going to get to the Super Bowl. Now you can have a great 12 or 14 weeks and then tail off at the end and you're out.
Denver did it 2 years ago. All right, and Denver tailed off the last game of the season last year, but look out for Denver. They've improved that defense tremendously.
Well, they spent some money there.
Yeah.
So they're one of their big rivals being the Seahawks. Everybody says it could be the Seahawks and the Broncos again. What did they get fined for? What's an excessive contact? Yeah.
Yeah, too much contact in practice. And they eliminated, you're only allowed a couple, 2-a-days or whatever. They eliminated one of them. And they got hit for $300,000. All right, Pete Carroll. Well, you're right. That doesn't mean much to these guys, but who knows? Now, speaking of excessive hitting, this guy Merriweather for the Redskins, his hit on Torrey, to me, and his hit on Pierce were, just absurd. It's past that. Football is past that now. And I'm not so sure. The hit on Welker, to me, looked like it was a shoulder hit.
Of course, they gave him his concussion,
right?
Keeping him out.
And listen, Wes Welker, you don't need to keep playing. This is just stupid.
Yeah. You've
got to have the money. You've got you've got Miss Hooters as your wife, I think.
Really?
Gorgeous girl. All right. And I assume maybe he has a family, or maybe he wants to.
Right.
I don't know, but stop playing. It's not worth it.
Right.
3 concussions in a year.
And that's one of the guys that in 5 years he won't remember anything, and then they'll say, oh, look at this poor guy, yet he's playing with these injuries, and they're going to end up suing the league. So sometimes
there comes a point where, it's time to stop.
Yep.
And he's a small guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's, received the concussions. Right. It's time to stop playing.
But he's done one thing that's really hard to do, and that is everybody who has his body type and plays that position, everybody says, oh, they're just like Wes Welker.
Right.
So he's almost named that slot.
They say that about Campanaro. Just like Wes Welker, the kid from Wake Forest, trying to make the Ravens.
The guy before that who left the league because of concussions was Wayne Corbett, who was a little guy like that, played for the Jets for a long time and couldn't play anymore.
Julian Edelman, all right, very similar to a Wes Welker kind of guy.
And he was a Patriot at the same era. But anyhow.
He is still a Patriot. Kevin Love, the addition to the Cavaliers, along with Kyrie Irving, makes them a clear favorite to win it all. And you're right. The revival of the Wizards Cleveland rivalry is back. I can't wait for it.
Hey, Bradley Beal, John Wall. We have to find somebody to cover LeBron. And I think we can match up the rest of the places, but it's going to be hard to find somebody to cover LeBron James.
If I can deviate for a second, Tottenham versus Liverpool tomorrow. Liverpool's coming off a 3-1 loss to Manchester City. And they just don't look good without the biter, Mr. Suarez. He's gone from the team.
What?
And it's not the same team without Suarez. Liverpool won, I think, the Champions League last year. Man U, can you imagine, like the Orioles losing 4-0 to Aberdeen?
That's what I was just going to say, the Ironbirds. So
right.
We're vibing here.
Man U lost 4-0 to some team that's the lowest tier team in soccer. It doesn't make sense to me. Banyan, the guy whose image was pictured, suing the NCAA for only $52 million. That's all.
How did they come up with these numbers?
I don't know. Well, I guess they follow the Maryland lawsuit,
Right.
I mean, that's why. Patrick Ewing and David Falk.
Oh, the bird of whatever.
The guy who doesn't like John Wall for us. I still haven't figured out why. Donating $3.3 million to Georgetown. I know Patrick Ewing, not well, but I've known him. He is a wonderful, wonderful guy. He is just a great family guy, but he's a great guy. And to do that in honor of his coach, John Thompson, some athletic center or something they're naming it.
They are. My cousin's in the business of building those arenas, and he got a chance to go out there and take a look. They're rebuilding their practice facility. They have a small on-campus gym. And they're going to build a great basketball practice facility and some student stuff.
But they'll still play at the Verizon.
They're still playing at the phone booth.
Right. All right. Caleb Joseph, J.J. Crush, we talked about that. And my final subject of the day, I'm tired of hearing about all these other guys. There is nobody in the American League this year having a year like Adam Jones. He's doing it both ways, offensive, defense. He's there. He's cut out his horrendous strikeouts on those low pitches. He is playing like a champion, like the all-star that he is. Adam Jones needs consideration as the MVP of baseball, of the American League. And, of course, the Orioles need to wrap up the pennant or whatever. Right. Let's hope Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday were productive days for the Orioles because you always risk putting the old foot in the mouth when you do that. And as I finish the show, let's thank Dennis Kalatzis, as always, from Koons Ford. Dennis, Wayne, if you need a truck, there's no way Koons Ford doesn't have it.
Well, I've been saying this as I drive home and I see Koons Ford out there in the security area, and they're just loaded with all these commercial trucks. They got all the F-150 pickup trucks. They got great deals. They got the 72-month 0% financing
on most of the products. Yeah. So Dennis does a great job. Get out there today. Get a car from Dennis. Hundreds of others do every month. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wayne has. I have. Almost all my friends have bought from Dennis. Great guy. Koons Ford of Security Boulevard. We're out of time. Give me a score on Maryland.
Okay. I'm still overbidding. I'm 53-7 Terps.
38-13 Maryland. It's going to be the start of a great year. I was very happy to hear Matt Zennett's positive aspect. That's going to wrap it up for us. This is Bruce Posner for Wayne Vider today saying thank you. Watch it on YouTube if you can. You've been listening to Koons Ford Presents The Sports Maven.